Commander Arya Patel stood at the observation deck of the TSS Horizon, watching the swirling patterns of quantum space dance around her ship. The familiar iridescent waves that most species feared had always felt like home to her. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her that the void wasn't empty. It was alive with possibilities. "Commander, we're detecting an unusual energy signature." Lieutenant Kai Nakamura's voice came through the ship's comm system. "It appears to be a Nexarian vessel, but their output readings are off the charts." The Nexarians, the self-proclaimed masters of space travel who had dominated interstellar navigation for millennia. Humanity had heard of them long before making first contact, though the ancient species had largely dismissed Earth's fledgling space program as primitive. Arya allowed herself a small smile. They had no idea what they were about to witness. "Show me the readings, Kai," she commanded, and a holographic display materialized before her. The Nexarian ship's energy signature blazed like a small sun, its massive engines burning through enough power to sustain a small planet for a year. All that energy, just to move through space. "They're attempting to establish communication," reported Communications Officer Zara Singh. "Their universal translator is compatible with our systems." "Put them through," Arya nodded, straightening her uniform. The holographic display shifted, revealing a tall, crystalline being whose translucent body pulsed with internal light. "High Commander Verix of the Nexarian Exploration Fleet." "Human vessel." Verix's translated voice carried a note of concern. "Your ship's energy signature is dangerously low. Our scans indicate your engines are barely functioning. Do you require assistance?" Arya exchanged knowing looks with her bridge crew. This wasn't the first time they'd encountered this reaction from other species. "Thank you for your concern, High Commander Verix. However, our ship is operating at optimal efficiency. We simply have a different approach to space travel." The crystalline being's internal lights flickered in what Arya had learned to recognize as confusion. "Different approach. Your species has been spacefaring for less than 2 centuries. The complexities of void navigation took our civilization millennia to master. Perhaps that's precisely why we found another way." Arya replied diplomatically. "We'd be happy to demonstrate. We're currently en route to the Cassiopeia sector. Would you care to observe our navigation methods?" The Nexarian commander's hesitation was visible in the rippling patterns of light across their crystalline form. In their culture, the void between stars was something to be conquered, beaten into submission with overwhelming force. The idea that there might be another way seemed to both intrigue and disturb them. "Your offer is acceptable," Verix finally responded. "Though I must warn you, the quantum currents in this sector are particularly volatile. Our own journey has consumed significant resources fighting against their influence." Arya smiled. "The stronger the currents, the better for what we're about to show you. Lieutenant Nakamura, initiate the quantum harmony drive." The TSS Horizon's unique engine system hummed to life, but instead of the roaring blast of conventional drives, it emitted a subtle resonance that seemed to ripple through the fabric of space itself. The ship's quantum sensors extended their reach, mapping the invisible currents of space-time that flowed around them like cosmic rivers. What are you doing?" Verix's voice carried a mix of alarm and fascination as their sensors registered the human ship's unusual activity. "Your energy output is dropping even further. Watch closely," Arya instructed, her hands dancing across the neural interface controls. The horizon began to move, not by pushing against space, but by synchronizing with its natural flow. The ship's quantum field harmonized with the surrounding currents, allowing them to carry the vessel like a leaf on a stream. The Nexarian commander's silence spoke volumes as they watched the horizon navigate the quantum currents with graceful efficiency. Where their own ships fought against the void with brute force, the human vessel seemed to dance with it, using the very turbulence they feared to propel itself forward. "This is impossible," Verix finally spoke, their crystalline form vibrating with intensity. "You're achieving faster than light travel with less than 1% of the energy we expend." "How?" We discovered early in our space exploration that the void isn't our enemy, Arya explained, guiding the ship through a particularly complex series of quantum eddies. These currents you fight against, they're nature's own transportation network. We simply had to learn how to read them, to work with them instead of against them. The Horizon's sensors detected multiple Nexarian ships, now gathering to observe their demonstration. Word was spreading quickly through their fleet about the impossible human ship that defied their understanding of space travel. Your species, Varix's translator, seemed to struggle with their next words. You've achieved in centuries what we couldn't in millennia. This will change everything. Arya nodded, knowing this moment would indeed change galactic civilization forever. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to see possibilities where others saw only obstacles. While ancient species had fought to dominate space, humans had chosen to understand it, to work in harmony with the very forces others feared. We're preparing to make the jump to quantum slip space, she announced, both to her crew and their growing audience. High Commander Varix, would you like to learn how we dance with the void? The quantum currents surged around the horizon, their patterns growing more complex and beautiful. As Arya initiated the slip space sequence, she could sense the paradigm shift taking place in the watching aliens' understanding. Humanity hadn't conquered the void. They had embraced it, and in doing so, they had changed the future of space exploration forever. The ship's quantum field pulsed once, twice, and then merged with the surrounding space-time fabric. The horizon didn't tear through space like the Nexarian vessels. It slipped between its layers like a skilled dancer finding the perfect rhythm. As they transitioned into slip space, Arya knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity was about to teach the galaxy a new way to dance among the stars. 2 weeks after their initial encounter with the Nexarians, the TSS Horizon's observation deck had become an unlikely classroom. Commander Arya Patel watched as Lieutenant Nakamura guided a group of crystalline beings through the basics of quantum current reading. Think of space as an ocean, Kai explained, his hands manipulating the holographic display to show the intricate patterns of quantum energy flowing around their ships. Just like water, these currents have their own rhythms, their own patterns. Fighting them wastes energy. Working with them, he gestured to the Horizon's efficiency readings, which showed minimal power consumption despite their faster-than-light travel. The Nexarian scientists' internal lights pulsed with a mix of fascination and disbelief. One of them, senior researcher Ixel, stepped forward, their crystalline form refracting the starlight. But our calculations have always shown that brute force was the only way to achieve reliable faster-than-light travel. How did humans discover this alternative? We started with a different question. Zara Singh interjected from her communication station. Instead of asking, how do we overcome space, we asked, how do we understand it? It changed everything. The Horizon's quantum sensors suddenly pulsed with new information, drawing everyone's attention. A massive quantum storm was forming ahead, the kind that would force most ships to make a lengthy detour. The Nexarian vessels accompanying them immediately began powering up their engines, preparing to burn enormous amounts of energy to navigate around the disturbance. Wait, Arya called out over the comm channel. Let us show you something else. This is where quantum dancing truly becomes an art. She nodded to Kai, who initiated the Horizon's advanced sensing protocols. The holographic display expanded, showing not just the quantum storm, but the complex web of currents flowing within and around it. To most species, it looked like chaos. To human eyes, trained to see the patterns, it was a map. Watch closely, Arya instructed. Notice how the currents don't just move randomly. They form paths, like rivers joining and splitting. Her fingers moved across the neural interface, adjusting the Horizon's quantum field harmonics. The trick isn't to avoid the storm, it's to use it. The human ship began to move, its quantum field pulsing in sync with the storm's outer edges. Instead of fighting against the turbulent energy, the Horizon rode the currents like a skilled surfer catching a wave. The ship's velocity increased dramatically, yet its energy consumption barely changed. Impossible, one of the Nexarian engineers exclaimed. You're using the storm's own energy to accelerate. Exactly, Kai confirmed with a smile. These quantum storms that everyone else avoids. They're nature's express lanes through space. You just need to know how to read them, how to feel their rhythm. The horizon swept through the quantum storm's outer layers, its hull gleaming with the reflected energy of countless quantum eddies. The ship wasn't fighting the chaos. It was becoming part of it, letting the natural flows of space-time carry it along at speeds the Nexarians' brute force approach could never achieve. Your ship, Ixel observed, their crystalline form vibrating with excitement. It's not just moving through space, it's dancing with it. That's why we call our navigators void dancers, Arya explained. It's not about dominance or control. It's about harmony, about finding the right partner in this cosmic ballet. As if to emphasize her point, the horizon executed a series of graceful maneuvers through the storm's core, each movement precisely timed to coincide with the natural flows of quantum energy. The ship emerged on the other side, having covered a distance that would have taken the Nexarian vessels hours to traverse, and they'd done it in minutes. Our entire understanding of space travel. High Commander Varix's voice carried a note of wonder. Thousands of years of technological development, and we never once considered that there might be a better way. It's not too late to learn, Arya offered. Humanity is willing to share what we've discovered. We believe the void belongs to everyone, and everyone can learn to dance with it. The Nexarian scientists gathered around the holographic displays, their crystalline forms casting rainbow patterns across the observation deck as they studied the quantum current data with new eyes. Centuries of ingrained beliefs about space travel were being challenged, and with them, an entire civilization's approach to the cosmos. Commander Patel, Ixel turned to her, their internal lights pulsing with determination. We request formal permission to establish a joint research initiative. Our people need to understand this quantum dance of yours. Arya smiled, remembering her own early days of learning to read the currents, of discovering that space wasn't a barrier to be conquered, but a partner to be understood. Permission granted, she replied. Welcome to the first class of void dancers. The quantum storm continued to rage behind them, but through the horizon sensors, it now appeared different to the watching Nexarians. What once seemed like a threatening chaos now revealed itself as an intricate dance of energy and possibility. As Kai began explaining the basics of quantum current reading to their new students, Arya knew they were witnessing the beginning of a revolution in space travel. The void was no longer an enemy to be feared and fought. It was becoming what humans had always known it could be, an endless dance floor among the stars, waiting for those willing to learn its steps. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Scientific Coalition bustled with activity as representatives from over 50 spacefaring civilizations gathered to witness humanity's formal presentation of void dancing technology. The massive chamber, traditionally used for debates about theoretical physics, now hummed with anticipation. Commander Arya Patel stood at the center of the demonstration area, surrounded by holographic displays showing real-time quantum current data. Behind her, the wall-sized viewport revealed hundreds of ships in high orbit, their various designs reflecting the diversity of galactic civilization. Among them, the TSS Horizon's sleek form stood out not for its size, but for its subtle quantum field emissions. For millennia, Arya began, her voice carrying across the chamber. We've approached space travel as a battle against nature. Today, we're here to show you another way. The main hologram expanded, showing a complex network of quantum currents flowing through nearby space. Several senior scientists from the Mechanoid Collective, their cybernetic forms gleaming under the chamber's lights, leaned forward with obvious skepticism. Your data contradicts established principles of void mechanics, one of them stated, their synthetic voice carrying the hint of dismissal. These currents you claim to detect, they violate multiple laws of quantum physics. Arya nodded, having expected this resistance. Chief Engineer Rydell, would you like to address this? From his position at the technical station, Thomas Rydell, a quiet man with silver-streaked hair, stepped forward. His expertise in quantum mechanics had been crucial in developing void dancing technology. "We're not violating the laws of physics," he explained, adjusting the holographic display. "We're working with aspects of quantum space that most detection systems simply aren't designed to observe. Think of it like trying to see infrared radiation with the naked eye. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there." He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show the complex sensor array that allowed human ships to detect and interact with quantum currents. "We developed our technology from scratch, specifically to detect these patterns. Traditional space engines are too busy fighting against these currents to notice them." From the Crystalline Confederation section, a familiar voice spoke up. High Commander Varix, who had witnessed the first demonstration weeks ago, rose to address their peers. "I can confirm the humans' claims. We have independently verified their findings. The quantum currents they describe are real, and they have mastered their use in ways we never imagined possible." A murmur ran through the assembly. The Nexarians were known for their conservative approach to space travel innovation. Their support carried significant weight. "Perhaps a demonstration would be more convincing than technical discussions," Arya suggested. "Lieutenant Nakamura, is the Horizon ready?" "All systems prepared, Commander." Kai's voice came through the comm system. "We've mapped the local quantum flows. There's a beautiful series of currents that would be perfect for a demonstration." The assembly hall's holoprojectors activated, creating a vast three-dimensional view of local space. The TSS Horizon appeared as a small but distinct point of light, surrounded by the now visible quantum currents that human sensors could detect. "Watch closely," Arya instructed. "What you're about to see isn't theoretical. It's the future of space travel." The Horizon began to move, its quantum field pulsing in perfect harmony with the surrounding currents. The ship's movements were precise and graceful, each maneuver building upon the last in an intricate dance through spacetime. Energy readings displayed on auxiliary screens showed minimal power consumption, even as the ship achieved velocities that would have required massive energy expenditure using conventional methods. "Impossible," exclaimed a representative from the silicon mines, their artificial intelligence struggling to reconcile the data. "Those energy readings must be incorrect. No ship can achieve such speeds with so little power." "The readings are accurate," Thomas confirmed, pulling up detailed sensor logs. "The key isn't how much power you use, it's how you use it. We're not fighting against space itself. We're becoming part of its natural flow." The demonstration continued as the Horizon executed a series of increasingly complex maneuvers. Each movement was perfectly timed to coincide with the natural patterns of quantum space, showing how human ships could achieve in moments what took others hours of brute force navigation. A Zephyrian elder, their gaseous form swirling with agitation, floated forward. "You speak of this as if space itself is alive, as if it has patterns we can follow. This goes against everything we know about void mechanics." "Perhaps that's exactly why we discovered it," Arya responded. "Humanity came to space travel with fresh eyes. We didn't have millennia of established doctrine telling us what was impossible. We simply looked at the void and asked, what if?" The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years were being shown a completely new way of understanding space itself. It wasn't just a technological revolution. It was a fundamental shift in how intelligent life could interact with the cosmos. "We're not here to replace your technologies or invalidate your achievements," Arya continued, her voice softening. "We're here to share what we've learned. The void is vast, and there's room for all of us to dance among the stars." As if to emphasize her words, the Horizon executed one final maneuver, riding a complex series of quantum currents in a display that looked more like an artistic performance than space navigation. The ship's quantum field harmonized perfectly with the natural flows of spacetime, creating patterns of energy that were both beautiful and efficient. The assembly hall erupted in a cacophony of voices and expressions, each species processing this paradigm shift in their own way. But beneath the chaos, there was a growing sense of excitement. Humanity hadn't just shown them a new technology. They had opened a door to a completely new way of understanding the universe itself. The void would never again be seen as just an empty barrier to be conquered. It was becoming what humans had always believed it could be, a partner in the greatest dance in the universe. 6 months after the Galactic Scientific Coalition presentation, the void was alive with change. The TSS Horizon hovered at the edge of the Carina Nebula, observing what would have been impossible just months ago. A mixed fleet of ships from various species, all practicing the art of void dancing. Their form is improving. Lieutenant Kai Nakamura noted, watching the Zephyrian vessel execute a near-perfect quantum current merge. The gaseous beings had proven particularly adept at understanding the fluid nature of spacetime. They've really embraced the concept of flowing with space rather than fighting it. Commander Arya Patel nodded, pride evident in her expression. The training program had exceeded all expectations. Species that once relied solely on brute force technology were now learning to read the quantum currents with increasing sophistication. Incoming transmission from the Mechanoid Collective Vessel, Officer Zara Singh announced. They're reporting successful implementation of their adapted quantum sensors. The mechanoids had been among the most skeptical initially, but once convinced, they had applied their considerable technological expertise to refining and enhancing void dancing techniques. Their cybernetic minds, once locked into rigid computational patterns, had learned to recognize the organic flow of quantum space. Put them through, Arya commanded. The holographic display materialized, showing Chief Architect Runtime, their metallic face adorned with pulsing quantum-sensitive arrays. Commander Patel, our latest modifications have increased sensitivity to quantum current variations by 47%. We are now detecting subtle patterns that even your original sensors missed. That's remarkable. Thomas Riddell responded from his engineering station. Would you be willing to share the specifications? This kind of collaboration is exactly what we hoped for. Already transmitting the data, Runtime confirmed. Your species taught us to dance with the void. The least we can do is help refine the choreography. The exchange was interrupted by an alert from the ship's quantum detection grid. A massive surge in quantum current activity was approaching, the kind of phenomenon that would have once sent ships scrambling for safe harbor. Multiple ships requesting guidance, Zara reported. This will be their first time handling a quantum surge of this magnitude. Arya smiled. This was a perfect teaching opportunity. Open a channel to all vessels in the training fleet. The comm system activated, connecting the horizon to dozens of ships from various species. This is Commander Patel. We're about to witness one of the void's most beautiful dances. Instead of avoiding the surge, we're going to ride it. She nodded to Kai, who began transmitting detailed sensor data to the assembled fleet. The holographic displays came alive with swirling patterns of quantum energy, showing how the approaching surge created not chaos, but a complex network of accelerated currents. Notice the pattern, Arya instructed. The surge isn't random. It's like a grand spiral, each current feeding into the next. If we time our entry correctly, we can use these currents to cover vast distances with minimal energy expenditure. The fleet began to move, each ship adjusting its position according to the horizon's guidance. The Nexarian vessels, their crystalline structures gleaming, took point positions alongside the human ship. They had become some of the most enthusiastic students of void dancing, their natural affinity for pattern recognition serving them well. Surge approaching in 3, 2, 1. The quantum surge hit, but instead of chaos, the assembled fleet moved in perfect harmony. Each ship caught a different current, their quantum fields resonating with the natural flow of spacetime. The sight was spectacular, dozens of vessels from different species, all dancing through the quantum surge like leaves caught in a beautiful cosmic wind. Energy efficiency readings are off the charts, Thomas reported excitedly. The fleet is achieving faster than light travel at less than 5% of traditional power consumption. The implications were staggering. Space travel was becoming not just more efficient, but more accessible to species that had previously lacked the resources for extensive void exploration. The galaxy itself was opening up in ways no one had imagined possible. "Look," Kai pointed to the sensor displays. "They're starting to improvise." Indeed, several ships had begun exploring variations on the basic void dancing techniques. A Zephyrian vessel was using its natural gaseous state to ride multiple quantum currents simultaneously. A mechanoid ship had developed a rotating quantum field that could switch between currents with unprecedented precision. "This is how it should be," Arya mused. "We showed them the basic steps, but now they're creating their own dances." As the fleet emerged from the quantum surge, having covered a distance that would have taken days and mere hours, the comm system lit up with excited transmissions. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or competition were now sharing discoveries, techniques, and innovations. "Commander," Zara called out, her voice carrying a note of awe, "we're receiving requests for training programs from over 300 new systems. Word about today's demonstration is spreading fast." Arya watched the assembled fleet, each ship now confident in its movements through the quantum currents. The void was no longer a barrier that separated civilizations. It had become a bridge that united them. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just a new technology. It was a new way of seeing the universe itself. "Send them all the same response," she instructed. "Tell them the dance floor is always open, and there's room for everyone who wants to learn." 1 year after humanity first shared the art of void dancing, the Galactic Concordat gathered for a historic ceremony. The massive space station Unity Point, constructed through the combined efforts of 20 different species, hung in space at the intersection of several major quantum currents. Commander Arya Patel stood before the assembled representatives, the TSS horizon visible through the station's crystal viewport behind her. The ship looked different now, its hull incorporating innovations from a dozen alien civilizations, while maintaining its distinctly human design philosophy. "A year ago," she began, addressing the gathered dignitaries, "we showed you a different way to move through space. Today, we're here to celebrate not just what humanity taught, but what we've all learned together." The main holographic display activated, showing a real-time map of known space. Streams of data flowed across it, tracking thousands of ships using void dancing technology. Each vessel left a trail of quantum resonance in its wake, creating a beautiful tapestry of intersecting paths through the cosmos. The Mechanoid Collective's quantum sensitivity arrays have doubled our ability to detect subtle current patterns, Thomas Riddell reported, highlighting several ships using the new technology. The Zephyrians' gaseous state harmonics have revealed entirely new ways to interact with quantum flows, and the Nexarians' crystalline resonance technology has made our ships more responsive than ever. High Commander Varric stepped forward, their crystalline form now embedded with human-designed quantum sensors. "We thought we were masters of space travel," they admitted. "Instead, we learned we were barely scratching the surface. Humanity didn't just teach us a new way to travel, they taught us a new way to learn." The station's sensors suddenly detected a massive quantum surge approaching, the largest ever recorded. In the past, such an event would have caused panic. Now, the assembled ships simply adjusted their positions, preparing to participate in what had become known as the Celestial Symphony. "All ships, prepare for synchronized void dancing," Arya commanded. "Let's show the universe what we can do together." The Unity Point station's quantum field expanded, linking with the assembled vessels. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species moved as one, their quantum fields harmonizing in ways that would have seemed impossible a year ago. The approaching surge wasn't a threat. It was an opportunity for the greatest demonstration of cooperative space travel ever attempted. As the quantum surge enveloped the fleet, each ship found its place in the cosmic dance. The mechanoid vessels calculated precise quantum entry points, while Zephyrian ships flowed through the currents like living gas. Nexarian crystal ships refracted quantum energy in dazzling patterns, creating paths for others to follow. And at the heart of it all, human ships like the Horizon showed that sometimes the simplest approach was still the most elegant. Energy efficiency at unprecedented levels, Thomas announced. The combined fleet is achieving velocities we never thought possible, using less power than a single ship would have needed in the old days. But the technical achievements, impressive as they weren't the most important legacy of void dancing. The real transformation was cultural. Species that had once competed for resources now shared discoveries freely. Ancient rivalries had given way to cooperation as civilizations realized that the void was vast enough for everyone's dance. Incoming transmission, Zara called out. It's from the Edge Explorers. They found something. The Edge Explorers were a mixed crew of humans and aliens who had ventured further into unknown space than any previous expedition. Their success was a testament to the combination of void-dancing technology and multi-species cooperation. The holographic display shifted to show their discovery, a massive network of quantum currents, more complex and powerful than any yet encountered. Initial readings suggested they could lead to previously unreachable parts of the galaxy. These currents, the explorer's captain reported, their voice filled with excitement, they're like nothing we've seen before. We think they might be artificial. Signs of an ancient civilization that understood the void even better than we do. A murmur ran through the assembled dignitaries. The possibility that they weren't the first to discover the art of void dancing opened up entirely new avenues of exploration and discovery. Then we have more to learn, Aria responded, a smile playing at her lips. The dance goes on. As if in response to her words, the quantum surge reached its peak, and the combined fleet moved in perfect harmony. Each ship contributed its unique strengths to the whole, creating a display of cooperation and skill that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. The void was no longer a barrier to be conquered or an empty space to be crossed. It had become a canvas for the greatest collaborative art form in known space, a dance that brought civilizations together in ways no treaty or trade agreement ever could. From the observation deck of Unity Point, Aria watched the ships moving through the quantum currents. Human ingenuity had shown the way, but every species had added its own steps to the dance. Together, they had transformed space travel from a solitary struggle against the void into a cosmic ballet that celebrated the unity of all spacefaring peoples. "The void isn't empty," she said softly, echoing the words of her first void dancing instructor. "It's full of music. We just had to learn how to listen. And now that we're all dancing together, the real journey can begin." The quantum surge passed, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. The legacy of the void dancers would echo through the cosmos, a testament to what was possible when fear gave way to understanding, when competition yielded to cooperation, and when the solitary struggle to conquer space became a dance that everyone could share. The universe, vast and mysterious, continued its eternal dance. And now, at last, its children had learned to dance with it.